Sunni country, but basically it is maintaining peace with Israel, it is maintaining security, it's fighting terrorism, more importantly to us, fighting extremism, teaching us about what we call the vetting and the extreme vetting. So that was very, very important.
Well, how is Egypt with Donald Trump's vision of extreme vetting?
Well, I was just in Egypt, as you just mentioned. What did I do there? I met with the top Muslim clerics, the Ministry of Religious Affairs, and I asked them, how do you do it? How do you make a differentiation between extreme and not extreme? They told me, you've got to identify the ideology. This is exactly what we're not doing in America.
Because they do extreme vetting there.
They do extreme vetting. They have the tools for the extreme vetting because they know what the ideology is, what our administration told us since 2009. No, you cannot touch it. So I went to the source.
Al-Sisi is an alternative to the Muslim Brotherhood representative. It's night and day, even though this administration is slow to recognize it. I get that. But a lot of people are saying, wow, they're not really known for their human rights at this point in the transformation. Is there a problem with meeting with Egypt and embracing too much their philosophy?
I met yesterday with 21 members of the Egyptian parliament as well, just before the meeting between Mr. Trump and President Sisi, and they are from all political parties. They told me, yeah, we have issues, we have human rights issues, but we deal with it. We are far away from what was to become a caliphate in Egypt, a caliphate ruling 90 million people, not like ISIS ruling 7 million people. That's a major difference.
I know you touched on this a little bit, but what specifically can we learn about the war on terrorism there and how Egypt's handling and bring it to the United States and make our country better and safer?
Let's remember, June 30th, 2013, the Egyptian people rose. It's not the army that took over, it's the Egyptian people. 33 million demonstrated in the streets of Egypt against the Muslim Brotherhood. What we need to do is mobilize civil society in the region, work with them, not have the Muslim Brotherhood come and teach us how to do it. I mean, our State Department, our administration were receiving delegations of the Brotherhood, refusing to receive NGOs from civil society. That's a big difference.
Yeah, there have been a couple of stories in the online world over the last couple of days about how some diplomats, people in your business, have walked away from Donald Trump because they're afraid of what he stands for. In your dealings with the Egyptian diplomats, are they okay with him?
Oh boy, you should have seen the members of parliament, the diplomats, that's President Sisi, that's the visible. Well, he went also to Mexico, and we are in touch with Jordanians, with Tunisians, with half of Libyans and others. They are really eager to see an alternative to this policy. They do not meddle in our politics, but they want to have another answer to the challenges they have.
Is it true because the president's been slow to go with Al-Sisi and recreate that bond that Russia is stepping in?
It's true that Russia is all over the place, my friend. It's in Egypt, but the Egyptians are very smart. They're balancing. They would like to establish strategic relations with us, but Russia is in Syria. Russia is everywhere. So we need to talk with the Russians at the same time telling them what is it that we want. We're not telling them what we want in the Middle East.
What could you tell us about the meeting?
I can't tell much before being briefed, but what I understand, at least from the Egyptian side, from the Egyptian media, it was a euphoria in Egypt that finally there is a breakthrough, there is a real dialogue. He met also with Secretary Clinton. I mean, they met with both sides. That's what international leaders do. But they were very happy with what they've heard from Trump.
It's been a headline in Egypt.
It is a headline, and people can check it online all over the place. Not just Egypt, but also in the Gulf and many other Arab countries.
The headline here, of course, is in the last 48 hours we had a couple of terror hits, a couple of bombs were detonated. This is your department. You've looked at this for a very long time. What's your observation about this guy sitting in jail over in New Jersey?
Look, Professor Mauro earlier said that it's not about just the link to ISIS. ISIS could be defeated, could be gone. It's the link to the ideology. And we have a pool of indoctrinated people in the United States and in Europe. This is where the problem is. Again, the administration refuses to admit that there is an ideology. They talk about foreign policy, jobs, and what have you.
Well, you know why? Because they said Bush overreacted, created more of a furor, and blamed him for a lot of the extension of the war on terror. And they want to do the opposite.
They don't want to review with us, with the American people, American voter, their last 8 years. They're still thinking of the last 16 years. This is like a black hole, the last 8 years in foreign policy.
Sure. All right, Waleed Phares, who's a Trump advisor, also a Fox News advisor as well. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Waleed.
Thank you very much.
Or terrorists, I should say. A new report exposing hundreds of illegals granted citizenship when they should have been deported. What does that mean for you and your family and our national security? That's next.
That doesn't sound too good. And thieves are now using your...
Basically, and
they're supposed to be deported.
They should be out of the country. How does that happen?
This is absolute incompetence by the Department of Homeland Security. This has happened before in 1996 with the Clinton administration, did the same thing. They ramrodded naturalizations through to knock down their backlog. A lot of people had criminal records, but they weren't married up with the the case files of these individuals. They were ultimately granted citizenship, yet they were criminals. But now we have 858 special interest country aliens who were ordered deported because of criminal activity now are among us as citizens. They have access to everything in the United States except the office of the presidency.
Yeah, no kidding. It smells fishy, doesn't it?
It does smell fishy. And here we have these people that have been ordered deported that are among us, they can be elected into Congress, they can be elected into the Senate, they can be anything, and we have no idea about who they are. And the problem with all this is the vetting process.
Yeah.
If we can't vet legal aliens in the United States that are already under proceedings and have been ordered deported, and here we have the administration wanting to bring in all these people from the same special interest countries without being properly vetted, we are opening ourselves up to a lot of trouble.
No kidding.
So,
And
David,
then just this past week, we had 2 terrorist attacks in this country, and both of them were naturalized citizens from special interest countries.
yeah, it's very scary. All right, if you look at some of the facts, one of them became a law enforcement officer. 2 of them gained access to secure areas at commercial airports. 1 gained access to secure areas at a maritime facility or several facilities. How worried should we be?
We should be very worried that they have access to our deepest secure areas, including the airports. They could be TSA agents who could flag other SIC aliens in through the airport. So there are a lot of variables in this, and this also sets us up for their asymmetric war against this country by using covert operations just like this.
Well, that slasher in Minnesota, he was an off-duty police officer or some sort of a law enforcement
He was
officer.
wearing a
I
uniform.
think he was a security officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. David, real quickly, this kind of points to what Donald Trump is talking about, that the immigration system is broken.
It is broken. Ever since 2003, when INS was dissolved and incorporated into this thing called the Department of Homeland Security, all the avenues of information exchange were stopped. CIS, Border Patrol, investigations, inspections, all were under the same umbrella and worked together in unison to address the immigration problem.
Right.
Now these agencies do not talk to each other. They're completely fragmented.
And that's the problem, among other things.
What are they going to do about it?
Well, under these 858 aliens that were granted deportation, they can be criminally prosecuted under 18 U.S.C. 1425 and taken to federal court. They would lose their citizenship ultimately and be deported as they should be. And I would hope the next president would follow through, because this administration will not do it. We've already seen a lot of criminal activity that the government has just pushed aside. But the next president needs to get a handle on this and start addressing the problems we have.
Well, let's see what happens. David Ward, this is your department. We thank you very much for sharing your expertise.
Thanks, David.